Hey there, pedal people. It's the Pedal Guy here. How you doing? Today what we're going to do is we're going to build our very first patch into the Hotone Ampero. But before we get started, please take a second and click on that subscribe button down there so you can stay up to date with all of our videos. Okay, well, we're going to write our first patch here from scratch. Now, what I recommend doing to kind of fast track this whole process is go into your computer, download and install the Ampero editor from the Hotone website. And from there, you want to go ahead and plug in your Ampero and create your first blank preset. It's a lot easier. The reason I'm telling you to do it this way is because if you go into edit, you go into save, if you want to make changes to the name of a patch, it's very cumbersome, I think. I did this for a couple of minutes and then I just kind of gave up and said, that's not the way I want to do it. The way I want to do it is from the computer. It just makes life a lot easier. Okay, so once you've done that, go ahead and press save and go back to the beginning here. So if I turn up my guitar, there's absolutely nothing going on here because I don't have anything plugged in. I don't have any effects or any cabinets turned on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to build a patch from scratch. So it's completely blank at this point. If I press edit, now you may have remembered this from the previous video that we did on the Ampero, the kind of quick start video there that we did. You might want to refer back to that if you haven't watched that one yet, because some of this might be a little out of the ordinary. The first place we're going to start is we're going to start with a cabinet. Now, if you're wondering why, well, very simply put, if I go to, say, the amp and I turn the amp on, it sounds terrible because there's no cabinet to go along with it. So I prefer to start with a cabinet first, and I'm just going to go with the default one that I've got here, which is a twin rock. Now, if I go over to the amp and I turn the amp on and I've got it set to a Marshall, like really easy, right? And from there we can go to noise reduction, which is our noise gate, and we can turn that on if we want to. And it is set to, currently it's set to custom gate, which we can stick with that if we want to. Or we can go to any of the other gates that are there. There's 3 gates to choose from. Custom gate's typically fine. I'm just going to turn the threshold up a little bit. You just kind of have to adjust it to your playing style. That's the beauty of it, right? Now, another thing I'm going to recommend as we keep going, make sure you save. Because if for some reason you lose power and you haven't saved anything yet, well, it's just like a computer. You're going to lose everything that hasn't been saved yet. So from this point, let's go to edit, back to edit here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn on the 2 master effects, which are delay and reverb. So I'm going to go over here to delay, and currently it's set to a delay type called Sweetie, which we'll stick with that for now, and turn it on. Bring the guitar back in. All right, so that sounds pretty decent. Let's go over to the reverb and let's turn that on, and it's set to a room. Now, if we want to make changes to any of those effects, you just go to the edit. In this case here, we could turn that mix down on the reverb so it's not so much in your face. Or we could turn it all the way up. All right, so that's pretty basic and easy. Let's press save. All right, let's go back to edit again. Now at this point, we could just stop the clinic and, you know, here you got it. It's very simple, right? But one thing that I want to cover here in this video in particular is something I got asked a lot when we first launched our videos, which is how do I use the expression pedal to create a wah effect? Well, it's very, very simple to do. What we want to do is go to Effects 1. We have 3 different modules, as I showed you on the previous video. We have Effects 1, Effects 2, and Effects 3. You typically want to put the wah effect at the beginning of the signal chain. You know, again, when it comes to the rules of the signal chain, there are no rules. Do whatever floats your boat. For me personally, I put the wah at the front of the signal chain. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. And currently right now it's set to compressor. But what we want to do is we want to create a wah effect. All right. So in this case here, we could use the quick knob here on the far right, and we can just simply scroll until we find our wah. There we go. There we go. Voxy wah. We have the cry wah. We have the protruce wah. We have a soul press. And for your bass players, we also have a bass wah too. Don't worry, they didn't forget about you. So we can stick with the cry wah, and if it's turned on, sounds like it's halfway depressed, right? Well, that's because we haven't assigned anything to it yet. So if we were to go in there and look at it, the range is set to 50. So the idea here is that we're going to assign this expression pedal to that parameter so that we can make changes to the range as we go up or down. Now the way we do that is we go back. Let's go back again to the home screen here. Now we're going to go to the control expression button right there. Now, if we look at it, this is your current settings for this particular preset. If we look at expression target 1, it's set to off, meaning it's not really assigned anything. So we want to change that. Let's go to expression 1 settings. Try that again. There we go, expression 1 settings. And we want to change the target. So I'm going to press target. And now here are all of our selections. And the cool thing about this is you could use this one pedal to affect all of the effects that are built into the Ampero preset. Effects 1, effects 2, and effects 3. So you could do like a multiple thing that would just be pretty wicked. But in this case here, we're going to go with something simple. We're just going to change it to effects 1. And it's already set to range, but we could set it to the Q parameter, or we can go to the volume parameter. But I'm going to stick with range. And I'm going to go back to that save again. So here we go. It's saved. All right, so that's how you set up a wah pedal. Really easy, right? Not that hard. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that it is turned on, and if you want to turn that off, you just simply press down the expression pedal, just like you would a wah pedal, to switch it off and on, and now it's off. And by default, it's set to volume. Another thing to note is if you want to calibrate your expression pedal, you can do that quite simply by going to expression 1 settings and going to calibrate and just follow the directions. Okay, so at this point we can, let's go ahead and go back into the edit window here, and now let's turn on an equalizer. Get ready for this, because I don't want you to get freaked out when you hear this. Okay, we're gonna play a note, turn it on. Uh-oh, what happened? We have no equalization. We have no signal. What happened? Panic, panic. No, we don't want to panic. Just go into edit and go over to volume. Just find the setting that you like. So here is without. All right, that sounds pretty decent, right? So if we turn it off, Turn it back on. Right, so it's pretty straightforward, pretty basic. At this point now we can go to effects 2 and effects 3. Let's just say for grins we wanted to go and say, look for maybe an octave. Let's go ahead and find one here, yes? Oops, wrong one. That's the one we want, menu value. Let's go up there and let's find ourselves an octave. Let's clean octave. There we go, clean octave. Let's turn that on. As you can hear, you can create a very cacophonous sound quite quickly here. We're going to turn that off for now. But that's just kind of the basics of how to create a patch. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to tempo volume. We're going to make sure that the patch tempo is set. Let's set it to something like, say, set it to 140. And the reason being is because if I go back to the delay and I go to Sweetie, as you can see, it is set to sync. But sometimes the delays and the other tempo-based effects will be set to off. And maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want it turned on. And then maybe you want to change that note value. All right, so you get the point. And don't forget that save button. And that basically takes us from start to finish in creating our very first patch into the Ampero. As you can hear and see, it's not that hard to do. It's actually very, very simple. But you got to start somewhere, right? So just watch the video a few more times. Make sure you download the Ampero editor from the Hotone website. It'll just make your life a lot easier. And that should pretty much do it. So for more information on the Ampero and the other products that we sell, please visit us at ThePedalGuy.com. Also be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks and have a great day.